don't mind, we'll go ahead and get rolling. Thank everybody for coming. I know we're going to go through and do employee updates from department heads, but I want to first, we had our department head budget meeting today, as each of you as department heads know, because you get to come in and have that fun experience. And I want to commend every one of you, everything that was asked whenever the budget committee met with each of you to talk to you about how to prepare and so that we could make sure we were going through it. Y'all did a phenomenal job, and I know when we met 2 weeks ago with the elected officials and the appointed boards, similar, everything went very smooth, but I can't say thank you enough for how well you guys did at looking at your numbers and trying to look at real needs versus just wants and trying to make sure we come in with a team atmosphere. So before we dove into the meeting, I wanted to say thank you to each of you that came in and presented. For the ones that didn't have to come in and present, congratulations that you didn't have to go through that. So we had significant work. I know Bill and Charlene have worked their tails off trying to help prepare and work with everybody in the committee with Paula, Sloan, and Becky was a part of that committee as well that met with you prior to try to get that together. Y'all did an outstanding job. So I was impressed, and I just wanted to make sure to say thank you before we dove in any further. We're going to go through and do some updates. I'm not going to call everybody out individually. I know a few have came to me and had updates that they needed to make, so I'm going to give y'all a chance as you have anything to dive in with what you got. I know who's going to try to speak first because he always likes to speak. So.
I got one. I'm just kidding.
Alright, well then I'm just going to point blank, hey, what's going on with Grandview Water?
I really don't have enough. I'm just kidding. I talked with Lamar with Turnip Seed Tuesday. They're finalizing the engine, the electrical part of the plant and intake. As soon as they get that done, then we're rocking and rolling with the bid process. Hopefully in the next week or two, we'll have the electrical part done. And then I'll have the information, and I'm gonna get with Justin, and me and him both, we gotta put it on the procurement site. They send us all the codes and all that to put on the procurement site. We'll get that put on there, put it in the paper, run it for the 4 weeks. Hoping to have it sometime towards the end of December, have the bid openings. That's the plan. If things go the way they've been going the last couple of months, we'll stay on that track, so. That's pretty much all I got.
And they gave a targeted time period on when they expect completion.
2023, I think it was April 2023 is when the completion of the whole plant, tank, intake, and whatnot. He also said that they're still working on the design for the booster pump that's going to go at Bent Tree Drive, but that's nothing major. They've been working on the plant, the tank, and the electrical. So once we put out the bid for the tank and the plant, the construction of the plant and the intake, then they're gonna, the pump station will come in shortly after. It's gonna be a separate bid. So it'll come in probably, I figure sometime mid next year when we do the pump station.
Okay.
Hopefully it'll streamline pretty good once we get started, if materials are available.
Maybe pumping water in a year. That has been a slow process.
It's been probably one of the longest.
With EPD, it doesn't.
It sit on one desk down there for 14 months, I think, before it finally, they picked it up and approved it. So it's been probably one of the longest processes I've dealt with.
Yeah.
So, but that's all I have.
How about I just piggyback on him?
Yeah, yep, jump in.
So the state fiscal recovery grant, part of that, one of the applications we submitted is actually a component of that project. So hopefully that'll generate some funds if it's awarded to help with that expense. Another one that was done is the, which I kind of sent stuff to Eugene and stuff, but I was headed out of town. But Kurt and Gina managed to get it all put in and got one in for some stormwater projects that are much needed for the road department. So we got 2 of those out for the state fiscal recovery. There's the Hazardous Waste Trust Fund is finally wrapping itself up for the first round. Starting on the second round after pulling together documentation from finance as well, all the stuff we've paid over the last 5 years, so we can get that reimbursed for the second round for the Jones Mountain landfill. But Other than that, there's a few little projects going on, grants and procurement, and working on getting some stuff tied up and put together, but those are the big ones right there.
While you said that, and I'll put Sloan on the spot, or maybe, I'm not sure if it's Sloan or Christie on that. Have we got the information we need from all the volunteer fire stations for the governor's grant for public safety?
Yeah.
So we do have that all finally in.
Yeah, we were waiting on, well, actually, two of the paid departments, that we really don't have a whole lot of control over, but that was who we were waiting on.
Okay.
We're waiting on one of them now.
We're still waiting on one?
Mhm.
We can just follow up with that, chief.
Yeah, I'll follow
We
up
don't
with
let
you.
that hold up because that's all public safety. And I know we can submit them in 3 separate ones, but we probably need to do them at the same time to
I think that's
get
bad.
that rolling.
Yeah, they're
And I know that's a conversation for after, but if it's just one that's holding the whole process up, I'd hate to stall that money
I will,
coming in.
yeah, okay.
Okay, all right. I didn't mean to throw you on the spot. I was just asking.
I did forget, I have one more update. The airport lift station, I know I hadn't been here to give an update on it. It's complete. We're just waiting on a few odd ends to be tied up on the actual line itself, which is done by a separate contractor. They've got a small punch list, and I think you and I got that list. I talked with the pump company yesterday, and we worked a few details out where he could dump some rock and whatnot, and once they get the checklist, or the punch list completed, it'll be 100% complete. So
Okay.
therefore, to be ready to go.
Work with the city on that and
Yeah.
get that done. Good. Who else has got something they want to dive in with? I mean, if you don't have an update, that's fine. I'm not trying to.
I've got a couple of small things. The work has started on Thompson Lane Bridge. They've got it closed. It and Fairview both are gonna be closed until further notice. And my guy's just been out cutting trees from the storm, cleaning up, so if there's some about, we'll get to them, and we can get to them. We've got a long list. That's about all of mine.
I think, one thing on those bridges that they're working on is probably important to let everybody know. It was a project, both of those were gonna be state-funded bridge, replacement projects. So that's been something that's been in the works for a while. Unfortunately, the one on Fairview was maybe a month off from when it needed to be repaired, so the wood finally gave way. And so we had to close it before they got to it. But Kirk made the comment, we should get credit for partial demolition of the bridge from removing some of the boards when we were out there trying to get stuff off of it. So that's up and running at this point. We'll have those finished up, and I doubt they're gonna give us credit for helping tear it down, but we did our best to make that one happen. Anybody else have any department head updates?
Just some numbers if you want them. Our revenue is still up. We're up to over 40% more than we were last year at this time. That's a good sign. A little bit less than we were last month. However, it still remains steady. Our total number of permits so far in 2021 are 2,000, with 616 building permits and 40 mobile home permits. So we've got the total revenue right now at 419,000.
Good. I know y'all been working well with the marshal's office too. That's why he's not here, because he's been going out on a few of the different complaints that have came through, so he's.
That's another thing that's up. We don't get charged for complaints. It'd be nice if we could.
It would be, if I could charge for complaints, I could probably save this county from anything with the number I get, so,
We can chip
at least it got
in
paid for
well.
each one she answers to give to me, we would be in great shape at that point.
Give me about a month down there in West End, and I'll outdo all y'all.
Jerry wants you to stay out of the West End.
I know, right?
Oh, man, yeah, but he's been actively working through those like crazy, so that's been good. I know under general discussion, did want to kind of update on a couple things. We talked about the budget meetings that were had today, so we met with elected officials 2 weeks ago. Committees were meeting prior to that, and met with all department heads today. They're gonna kind of work and crunch all the numbers so that we'll be prepared when we have our next board meeting on the 18th, that we'll present and do a full budget presentation during the meeting on the 18th. So during our regular meeting, rather than calling a special meeting, we'll have that presentation to make, and then after that presentation's been made, we'll advertise the proposed budget for a month and get that out there before the December meeting where we would actually vote on it. So the budget process is full swing. We should have that all finalized hopefully very soon, but at worst case scenario, we'll have it finalized by the 18th. We announced back in, I think it was March or April, somewhere in that ballpark, that we were gonna have to work to identify a new audit firm because our local act kind of set the term limits, and so we'd expired from that. So we've been working with that. We sent out on November 1st, which was Monday, the request for bids from 3 different audit firms, Malden and Jenkins, R.M. Dobbs, I'm sorry, not R.M. Dobbs, Nichols, Colley and Associates, and Ralston and Company. Those audit firms, all 3 of those combined, do Forsyth County, Jackson County, Lumpkin County, Paulding, Whitfield, Cherokee, Cobb, Coweta, Polk, Bartow, Carroll, Habersham, and White. So we found firms that specialize in working with county governments, so we've sent that out. So we're waiting to get those bids back in to work on selecting and identifying the audit firm that we'll be working with in 2022. So that process is now started. It's up and running. We should know something from that. I think the 12th was their deadline to get some stuff back to us, so we'll be moving forward to where when we get to the month of December, we'll have that ready to select the audit firm. We can go through from there. We will approve in the regular meeting tonight the holiday schedule for next year. There's really no changes that we're recommending unless there's some discussion when we have the meeting. So we'll have the holiday calendar up and going. Paula emailed out the dates for open enrollment yesterday, I believe.
Yes.
So open enrollment for insurance is there. I know we had the meeting a little while back where we're going to be going back with Anthem. So we'll have that up and running. So that process is going. They've done a great job. It's been a very busy few weeks around here. So if you, I would say I lost my hair, but it was gone beforehand. I can't blame you guys. That's all I have under the general discussion portion. I don't know if you have anything on your agenda or anything I'm missing. Okay. Once again, thank you. Anybody else have any more comments or anything for the work session?
I will say, you mentioned revenue bringing in numbers. This time last year, we were at about 8% collected for the year, and with everything going the way that it's been, getting everything out early, we're at 56% right now. So we're like way ahead of where we were last year. So I think
Still waiting on the big mortgage companies to get theirs through.
well, we got one yesterday, and we got 3 or 4 more coming in.
Yeah, percentage will jump.
Right.
Good. Great job. Everybody else good? You used to go to a church where they always, at the end, would say, all hearts and minds clear, so I was about to say that. Wes raised his hand before I could say it.
He's in mind.
One question, I can tell my wife and I we're switching from the insurance to Anthem. Okay, good.
Yep, you can tell her. Now, Paul will have all the details coming out real soon, but I mean, we've been trying to get those packets all put together.
Should be sometime next week. I'll get the booklets out. They should be bringing them.
That'll have all the, there should be very little in terms of what you're coming out of pocket. If anything, there's on prescriptions, there's a decrease in what you'll spend on prescriptions. The rest it's flat, so there shouldn't be any change to what you're out of pocket at all, and hopefully save you
The
some.
only thing that I've seen that is out of pocket, because I was talking to my doctor last time I went, well, the other day when I went, is labs, like I paid, I
What
think
company
$30. Quest, they charge 75 with Anthem, but on the flip side of that, I'm gonna save that, double that with my prescriptions, because I've been talking with them, and just one of my prescriptions is $1,000.
One thing,
So-
most doctor's offices, if you let them know in advance that your insurance doesn't cover Quest, that if they're not accepting Quest, then they will use the other, I think it's LabCorp, that is accepted. So you just have to give them an advance notice when you come in to kind of flag it that you're not on there, and that should fix that.
But the biggest thing is prescriptions. I mean, that's what's
killing us right
That's
now.
what's killing it,
So
I
help us in
mean,
the
because,
future,
I mean, you know, somebody has $1,000 prescription, they have to have it every month, I mean, you're just working for prescription and insurance.
And I think we apparently have something on our application that you have to have at least 5 prescriptions that you take before we'll hire you, so. We can get that changed on our employment application, that may actually help us just a little bit more, so. I think we've been seeking out, we need to recruit in some other areas. I think we're gonna go start at the good nutrition, health food place and a few other places that we're gonna start trying to pick up applicants, so.
I don't know.
All right, well, thank y'all very much. We're gonna adjourn the work session. We'll pick up at 5:30 for our regular meeting, and I appreciate you. And again, on the budget, thank y'all for everything.